Joining us now, Opher Baron, professor of operations management at the Rotman School of Management. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we talked about the impact on oil prices in Canada, but when we talk about what this shipping route is important for, can you give us a sense of perspective here?
So first of all, it's important for energy. As you mentioned, about 20% of oil demand and about 15% of liquid natural gas that are going there, mostly from the Persian Gulf countries to Asian countries, India, China, Japan, and Korea are some of these. So the vast majority of the energy that is being used by these countries is essentially going through the Strait of Hormuz.
And what sort of intel do you have about whether any ships at all are getting through this strait?
As far as we know, in the last couple of days, there's no real movement of commercial vehicles through the straits.
We heard President Trump float the idea that some ships, to get oil supply out in particular, could have Navy escorts. Is that something that may actually happen?
That's certainly something that can happen. Will allow ships to go there, but there's over 100 ships are stuck at the area currently. So moving them one by one is not a very productive way to go forward.
And we're looking at this through a Canadian lens and the impact on gas prices, but surely a lot of goods are moving into this area equally, which could have things like food and grain, which this region relies on. What would be the impact of ships that cannot access all of the countries surrounding that strait?
So that's a great point. If you look at a country like Qatar, about 90% of its food is imported, likely mostly via sea, so going through the straits. Hopefully, in the short run, there's enough food around, and I'm sure that nearby countries can help. But if this is going to stay closed for a while, there's going to be some issues with basically bringing agricultural products into this area of the world.
And are there other trade routes that could easily be explored, or are there any concerns about food shortages and humanitarian concerns?
Yeah, I think there hasn't been specific concern outside of Iran so far, but certainly something that can arise if the conflict will remain open for much longer. The other routes are not as effective, so you can send things, say, via Turkey, but the cost of this route is going to be significantly higher. The reason why we use mostly shipping overseas for large quantities of food, for example, is because it's significantly cheaper and more effective. The increase in prices as a result from increase in logistic costs for food and perishable items may be quite large.
Opher Baron, we appreciate your time today very much.
Thank you for having me.
Opher Baron, professor of operations management at the Rotman School of Management.